Hello friends, welcome to the second part of the video about South Africa and Eswatini, and this part is all about Eswatini. If you haven't seen the first part about Johannesburg panorama route and the Kruger National Park safari, you can find it on my channel. It would be a video uploaded before that. Just to remind you, our route started in Johannesburg, then we flew to Mbombela, hired a car, drove around Panorama Route, Kruger National Park, and drove to Eswatini, where we stayed overnight. Then we flew to Cape Town and drove around Cape Town as well. In Eswatini, we stayed for a full day and a night before driving back to South Africa. And here's how it went. Good morning, everyone. We are taking the N4 road to the border with Eswatini and then starting our journey and exploring this beautiful and very small country. We crossed the border control in Jeps Bridge. I think that was the name of the town where the border control was, and the border control was really smooth. All you have to do, I couldn't film unfortunately, but all you have to do is park your car, go stamp your passport in the control, during the customs check, open your trunk, show that you're not importing or exporting anything illegally, then you drive. So on the border control check with Eswatini, same process. You leave your car, but the only difference, you have to pay, and you also have to show your certificate for the fact that you are allowed to bring your car to Swaziland. You need to obtain it from your rental agency. So we rented from Avis. So when we were renting, we asked in advance that if we can bring the car to Eswatini, and they said it's fine, but we had to pay a little bit extra, something like $20. And then also you need to pay at the border control with Eswatini. How much did we have to pay? Do you remember?
I have no idea. I didn't check.
Yeah, well, all right.
I think it's 100.
100 rand.
Yeah.
So the currency here is not rand, but it's equivalent to South African rand. Oh, we actually have received how much we paid. 100. Yeah, road tax or something like that that we had to pay, and that's it. We paid. I passed another customs check, and here we are. There was no queue. There were probably like 2-3 cars at the border. Everything was smooth. We didn't have to queue for anything. It was extremely fast, straightforward and easy. Honestly, a pleasure. So yeah, and now we are driving to our first destination, Pigs Peak, that was recommended to us by our lodge owner. He said there is a nice cafe with beautiful views. So that's where we are heading at the moment. We are approaching Pigs Peak, and as you can see, the landscapes are really different. There is a lot of forest here, and we are also driving uphill. The first stop, Pigs Peak Hotel. As it turned out, there was a restaurant in a hotel, but there was a big, large buffet-style restaurant which was closed. It was open in the evening, of course, but it was closed and it didn't have any panoramic views. But we actually found the place the lodge owner was referring to. It was outside the hotel on the road, but it seems like it hasn't survived COVID because it looked pretty abandoned, like it was closed for at least a couple of years, unfortunately. So yeah, no panoramic cafe for us. So instead we started driving to a nice reserve, one of the most famous ones in Eswatini. And now a little bit more information about Eswatini. So Eswatini formerly used to be called Swaziland, and I feel like most of the people would know it still by the name of Swaziland because it only got renamed in 2019. It's a very small country that is landlocked, and it's bordering Mozambique and South Africa. The population of Eswatini is just over 1 million people, and it's one of the very few absolute monarchies in the world. An interesting fact about the king of Eswatini: he currently has 15 wives, but the former king actually had 125, so 15 seems like a very low number compared to the previous king. And our first destination was Mlilwane National Reserve. It's not really kind of a safari park. It's actually a wildlife sanctuary, so you won't see any dangerous animals there. You will see a lot of birds and a lot of kind of antelopes. It has really beautiful landscapes though, but because it's a wildlife place, you are not able to walk there. You can drive there though, and as it turned out, you actually need an SUV or even a 4x4 to reach some of the areas of the reserve. Those areas included a really narrow, a very steep road up the hill, and that was going to some remote areas of the sanctuary. But yeah, unfortunately, there were signs that said that it's not recommended to go there unless you have a proper 4x4. So we couldn't go there and we couldn't see. But nonetheless, it was a really nice destination. However, Eswatini is also a Big Five destination like South Africa. But if you want to go and see Big Five, you need to go to the Hlane National Park. That's where you will be able to see most of the wild animals. In our case, we were actually more interested in culture rather than animals because we just came from Kruger National Park. So our next destination was the destination we came for to Eswatini, and it's Mantenga Cultural Village. It took us around 20 minutes to drive to the reception of Mantenga where we bought a ticket, and then there was a really, really bad road that led actually to the place where the village is and the theater is. I think it took us around 15 minutes to drive that really short road, so it's probably the same time if you decide to walk. But yeah, this is this massive theater. We were the first to arrive. There are actually multiple shows per day. We are the only ones in this massive theater so far. And we thought it would be sold out. But in the next half an hour, more people have arrived. After the cultural show that lasted for around an hour, there was a tour around the village. So this is not an actual village. This village was rebuilt based on how the villages in Eswatini used to look like. Now most of the people, of course, live in houses. But this is a very interesting insight into a life in Eswatini 100 years ago.
The headman of the home will get a big flat stone, put it on top, put back the crawl menu, so that when these houses catch fire, while we are running to the neighbor.
Families used to be quite big, and sometimes people had multiple wives, so that entire village could literally host just one family. Overall, it was a very interesting show and a very interesting tour as well. So if you could only do one thing in Swatini, especially if you're only coming here for a day trip, I recommend going to Mantenga Cultural Village. And well, Mlilwane Wildlife Sanctuary was also really, really pretty, so I can't complain. In the evening, we arrived to Hilton Garden Inn, so that's actually one of the nicest hotels in the capital of Eswatini. We had the dinner there as well, and we were so tired by the end of dinner that we just decided to rest in the room because we had to wake up quite early. Morning, it's 7:30 a.m. and we are ready to leave Eswatini and start our drive towards Nelspruit Airport, which is supposed to be around 3 hours. hours, but let's see how it's going to be in reality. So we basically arrived to the airport on time and take a flight to Cape Town. We were actually exiting from a different border control point compared to the one where we entered. So it was a slightly different route that we took back, and the landscapes were also slightly different. So this time the border control was not so smooth because apparently when you re-enter South Africa, you need to declare electronic devices like laptops. And we did have our laptops with us because we were working from Cape Town in the upcoming week for a couple of days. So we were forgiven though by the border control officers because they realized we are not smuggling any laptops. It's literally our own laptops, so they let us pass. But it's something to keep in mind in case you're bringing a laptop as well. I hope you like this video and it's useful for you if you're planning a day trip to Eswatini from South Africa, and see you guys in the next video from Cape Town.